We did it again. We got way too cute and we lost the game. Now who do we blame? Oops, the third down play call. And we dropped the ball off Saquon's fingertips.
Damn, that was a bopper.
Thanks. All originals. You get all originals here on the Wingin' It podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Come sit down, stay a while. Come wing it with us while we talk about our sorrows. I'm Andrew. I'm joined by Alex. It's just the two of us. We're going back to the old days. And Alex, kind of funny that we're going back to the old days because an old friend of the podcast, Derek Carr, will make an appearance. Not him physically, but we will be talking about him. And did I want him a couple years ago when we first started doing this? Yeah, I did. Did I look really stupid last year for wanting him? Yeah, I did. But do I look stupid this year? We'll get into it. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 86 of Wingin' It. Where does one begin? You know, the Eagles are now 1-1 on the year in a week where the Lions lose, the Cowboys lose, the 49ers lose. The Eagles refuse to take advantage. It's so infuriating, but it's week 2. We're going to try not to, jump off the bridge quite yet. Alex, I'm going to kick it over to you because I have to know. We have not talked about your in-game experience now that the game was actually played in Philadelphia, not in South America. You were actually able to go down to South Philly and sit through that Monday night meltdown. I guess, man, give me the highs and the lows. I know it was an eventful night. Jason Kelce in the house, Nick Foles in the house, and then obviously the way that the game ended. So tell me, just talk to me. Tell me how it went.
To everyone watching the live stream right now, I didn't update the title, so it does say episode 85 with Boyd Pierce. Andrew is certainly not as good looking as Boyd Pierce, so this is just regular old
great
episode
head of hair.
86 with wonderful
great head of hair on Boyd Pierce.
Wonderful hairline.
Boyd, what product do you use? Help me. Help me.
Yeah, help us out. No, I mean, listen, the stadium was rocking. I gotta say, if you go to a Monday night game at the Link and you get there early before rush hour traffic and everything gets out, the tailgates aren't definitely as heavy as you would see on a typical Sunday, but we had a lot of fun. Me and my buddy Fran went down, had a great time. I will say, though, that I did have a little bit of FOMO, so I saw that Jason Kelce was down there in the G-Lot area. Yeah, G-Lot. And everyone that we party with and everyone that we talk on the podcast to was there. Dunphy was there. Malik Joe was there. Chris Nady was there. Dalton was there. Drees was there. Everybody was there. And Rossi was there with her girlfriend. Literally, everyone that we've ever had. Jordan Spector. Everybody that we've had on the podcast.
A reunion.
Was down there. And, I just didn't think that we were going to make it in time. And we kind of slow played it. And then, I kind of walked over there. Saw 2-3 Drees and some other people in the 4th and John tailgate. And, I definitely didn't miss it by that much. And if I just would have gotten up off my ass, I would have gone and partied and got beers thrown at me with Jason Kelce. But that's a really cool thing to see an ex-player to be able to do it. But going into the Link for the first home game of the year, stadium was rocking. It was loud. The only downside that I would say is most people spent a lot of money to see Nick Foles retire that night. And I'm sorry to say, Wingin' It podcast, they did not play Boyd Pierce's song. However, they didn't really do much of anything. And it was a massive disappointment. So they play a video of Nick Foles, and he comes out of the tunnel during a commercial break. I mean, this is a 2-minute timer right there in between timeouts or in between the first and second quarter or something. He comes out, everyone's freaking out, waves with his wife and his children, and goes back in. So we're expecting to see a little bit more, a whole ceremony, something that talks about this at halftime. And I can't be too upset because Jason Avant and a whole bunch of other people celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month went out there and did some salsa dancing. That was the whole entire halftime show. There was no Nick Foles ceremony. There was no opportunity for them to play music. There was no speech. There was no ceremony. There was no trophy. There was no retiring of the number. There was literally nothing, Andrew. He came out with his wife.
No Dirty Dancing. I had the time, and then Nick Foles just picking up a random.
Yeah, I mean, it was trending that way, and listen, Jason Avant's got some moves, man. The salsa lessons are paying off, man, and it was doing really good, but But dude, I gotta say, like, it was a massive disappointment. Everyone is like, wait, we spent all this money to come see Nick Foles retire, and him just waving his hand in between quarters was the extent of it. Pretty
The only
lame.
quarterback,
Pretty
the
lame,
only
honestly.
quarterback to win a championship in this city, and that's it. That's all he got.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they'll do another ceremony when they retire. I assume no one's going to wear number 9. And I assume, I don't know, you would probably know all the number 9s of all the Eagles past, but maybe they'll do something else. But massive, massive, massive disappointment.
Rodney
and I
Peete.
feel like the Eagles have done a lot of things right. I was there on Saturday, and I got to take a picture with the Lombardi Trophy, and they gave season ticket holders a gift with a patch on our hat and everything. So, like, they're stepping up their like fan experience, because I feel like they've always been sort of lackluster in there, especially for like season ticket holders. Like, they'll send us like an apron and a frisbee and like a plate, and they're like, "Congratulations, thanks for." It's like, what? this is what I get, but I get to go to the game, so I'm not like too upset about it. But anyway, Nick Foles ceremony, massive disappointment. Weather was really nice, but primetime Kirk chopping us up in primetime was just an awful thing to experience in person, Drew. Awful. I mean, people were screaming and yelling at each other to the parking lot and to the cars, and once they got into the cars. I mean, people were like, why would you not run it on 3rd and 3 and primetime Kirk Cousins? And like, people were pissed. People were pissed.
So, Alex, before we get into one of our favorite segments, I'm just going to pose the question for you. And here's your choices. Your choices are Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, the coaches, or the defense. Who do you put, if you can can only put the blame on one, who do you put that blame on?
Let's get into 2 up, 2 down. Let's talk about our highlights of it, because I think I'm going to answer your question in there. Is that fair?
As long as you're going to answer my question in there, then yes.
Alex and Andrews, 2 up, 2 down.
All right, so let's start this on a bad note and end it on a good note. How about we do that? Something that's a little bit different for this segment. The number one thing that I put for the downs, and if you're new to this segment, we give 2 ups, 2 things that we thought we did well. Andrew gives 2 ups, I give 2 downs, he gives 2 downs, and we discuss it.
It's very complicated, we know.
Coaching. Coaching was absolutely awful. Nick was way too emotional into the game, running down the sideline, high-fiving people, being his animated self. It's like, I always feel like he's looking for a camera. The 3rd and 3 was the right call, but it's the right call only if it worked. And it didn't. So that means it's the wrong call. But you run that ball on 3rd and 3 right at the end, and it gives them 1 minute back, exactly 1 minute back on the clock if you do the math. Their drive took 1:05. Now, does that mean that they weren't going to win the game? Absolutely not. But the difference between 34 seconds on the clock and 45 seconds on the clock is a lot different than 6 seconds on the clock. The personnel changes and everything changes, and Nick had that there, right? So the coaching is my first down. I don't blame any other individual. I don't know what the hell Bryce Huff is doing, getting blown up by a tight end. I don't know what he's doing there. We'll talk about my second down because I have another individual that I really want to put on blast because he's going to get us into trouble, but the coaching, Drew.
That's your number one blame. You're blaming the coaching.
I'm blaming the coaching on that game. I think Jalen Hurts played an okay game. He played as a regular quarterback. I certainly don't think he played like a bottom tier quarterback. I'm not saying that he looked like Patrick Mahomes or Derek Carr or some of the other elite quarterbacks in the league right now. Darius Slay getting burned at the end there, but had himself, an okay night. I don't know, Drew. What's your answer to your own question?
I'm glad I've had like an extra day to think about it, because I think if you were to ask me this question yesterday, I would have agreed with you. I would have blamed the play calling. I know that it was a good play, like it was set up for success. Honestly, I mean, it was a perfect ball. It was a high percentage play. It wasn't like it was a long pass. It was a short screen pass to Saquon, who has proven in his career that he can catch the ball. Yet at the same time, he also leads all running backs in dropped passes since 2021. So if you're, again, if you're a staff that's looking at analytics and things like that, it's like, well, there's a chance that he might not catch the ball if this guy leads all running backs in dropped balls since the beginning, or since 2021. The more that I've thought about it, though, I think I do have to put the blame on Saquon for this one. I think it was a totally fine play call, which I feel a little dirty saying because it's like, yeah, just run the ball. Just run the ball.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I don't agree.
It was just it was such an easy play to make, and these are professional athletes, and I don't really understand how you drop that ball. I don't understand it.
So let's look at the YouTube comments real quick. Flock Rundown says, love the content, boys. Ryan, love what you're doing with the Ravens content over there. Keep it up, big dog. Jimmy, you get a calendar when you have season tickets for the Bucks. Okay. I did not get a calendar. Is it a sexy calendar? Is it all the linemen in I don't know.
Nothing but a helmet.
Maybe we don't want to see that. AJ Fly, Eagles Fly. Ali, joining us from California, can't do the podcast today. Jalen Hurts is to blame. Dude is handing out INTs like he's a creep handing out candy outside of an elementary school. Vaguely specific comment there. And AJ, defense is the blame. So I think we have a mixed bag, which is good. I don't agree with the Saquon hate. I think Saquon is such a wonderful addition to the team. I think that Jalen Hurts does fall down on that play if he doesn't have the out route there. And Saquon is to blame because he dropped the pass. But Saquon did so many good things in that game for us that I can't just sit here and give him a blame for an L.
And do not mistake me blaming the loss. It's not the same thing as saying that he played bad, because I think Saquon played a great game. I just think that play in particular.
Sorry, Bryce just said AF's wet dream is a Baker calendar. He ain't lying. I love Baker Mayfield, dude.
I just love his story, I just love his story.
Just love a good story.
Baker is he's baking, he's cooking, he's getting it done right now. There are 4 teams in the NFC right now who are undefeated. We will get back into the ups and downs, but while we're on the topic of Baker, you got the Bucks, you got the Saints, you got the Vikings, and you got the 49ers. Nope. They just lost to the Vikings. Duh. I don't know who the 4th team is off the top of my head.
It's Washington. It's the Washington Commanders.
Oh, my God. It is Washington.
And they have the
worst
New Orleans,
secondary
Minnesota, Seattle, Washington. Absolutely correct.
That just shows you strength of schedule. But anyway, now that I think about it, it's hard to say that I blame Saquon for the loss, because that makes it sound like so much more than just that play. So if you're looking at the game as a whole, number one blame goes on the defense. I have a little bit of trouble putting the blame on Jalen Hurts. Honestly, I think he played a fine game. He played well enough for us to win. And what he did with his legs, I'll save that because that'll be one of my ups. So I'll do one of my downs now, and then I'll kick it back to you.
Yep.
I know that you started talking about Bryce Huff, so I'll save a little bit. But my man is literally playing like the number that he wears. That dude is a freaking 0. He gives you nothing. Not a fan of Bryce Huff. I'm gonna put a lot of shade on the Georgia Bulldogs as a whole right now. I am not feeling the Georgia Bulldogs. There ain't a single Georgia Bulldog right now that I am happy with. In fact, the Georgia Bulldog that I might be the happiest with is Nakobe Dean, which, if that's the case, things are not going well. Jordan Davis over Kyle Hamilton is looking like a terrible pick. Jalen Carter, there was a little bit of disciplinary action. I think he got held out for the first drive or the first play, whatever it was. Maybe he didn't show up to something. I don't know the full story yet. But he's got to get after the quarterback. You have freaking Nolan Smith, who looks like a complete first round bust. That's really the extent of it. Our pass rush is freaking trash. And after a year where we had probably the worst pass rush in the NFL, well, now you lost Hassan Reddick. You replaced them with someone who isn't giving you a gosh darn thing out there. And I think Brandon Graham was the only player who had a sack that got called back. But again, if Brandon Graham in his final year is giving you the most production on your defensive line, what's going on here? Is it Vic Fangio? Is it Howie Roseman?
Is Davis a traffic cone? That is a real comment that was just posted.
I mean, dude, since the first half of last season, we are not a good run defense. I feel like we've given the run defense some credit, and probably more credit than they deserve, but they have not been good since the first half of last season. I don't know what the heck happened.
So my second down, CJ's ego is a huge problem too. When we just are thinking about the defense, he's going to cost us so big this year if coaching doesn't get him under control. It's funny because when Jordan Davis has the reaction speed of a dead body. Ali, just come on. Like, what you're obviously watching, just join the freaking podcast, dude. So the problem with him is, he's pulling off mouthpieces. His helmet falling off. It did fall off, but he like pushed it off to do that.
It depends on the angle you were watching it
he's
from.
he's getting burnt. Like he's just a problem. And then he's out there on the sideline acting a damn fool, and it's like, listen, like that's who he is. Like I know he has a big ego. He's really, but like, dude, you can't be getting burnt toast like that and pulling off mouth guards, drawing penalties, ripping your helmet off on, albeit a very impressive fourth down stop. We went absolutely nuts, and I thought the momentum was back in our court. But
that was the defensive play of the game, without a doubt.
At week 2, man, I don't like it. I don't like the way he's acting. 302 Birds had a podcast live streamed, and I told them last week you can't change a guy, so let it go. But I am going to recant my statement saying we need to figure out something to be able to get this guy back under control. Run defense was decent against my Packers. Ben, I agree with you that day, or maybe the Packers are just trash.
Maybe it was he was slipping too much on that field, but I feel like the defense was actually having a harder time with the slipping and sliding.
How would you feel if Bond moved to edge rush over White and Dean in the middle, Rodgers outside Q and slot?
Well, Rodgers was he was like another healthy scratch. Him and Devin White, healthy scratch. Isaiah Rodgers, from what I understand, was healthy enough to play and didn't see the field. So I'm like really confused what's going on with this team. Like there's a little bit of confusion. It seems like Devin White's kind of like butthurt about Nakobe Dean starting over him. There's just like things aren't making a whole lot of sense right now. Boo this man.
All right. And then did you have a second down, or did you already give a second down?
Yeah, my second down. I don't know, man. I had much higher expectations for Dallas Goedert this game. I think where you're down AJ Brown, you have a smart offensive mind like Kellen Moore, which I know we're real excited about, but like I don't understand the Britton Covey in the red zone, like constant like screen passes to Covey in the red zone. Like yeah, that's our best shot of getting in. Dallas Goedert had 3 catches for 38 yards on 4 targets. You're telling me in a game without your number one target, Dallas Goedert, who's supposed to be one of your big guns on this offense, like how are we not getting him more involved?
I want to look at the stat line here because it looks like Greg Calcaterra was getting a healthy bit of action.
Well,
as
that's
well.
it, Alex. In the first drive of the game, I think Jahan Dotson had a catch, and I think Calcaterra had 2 catches, and that was all in the first drive. And then crickets the rest of the game for both of them. So like.
So Calcaterra had 3 receptions and Goddard had 7 for 69. It didn't feel like he had a 69-yard game. I'm looking at season stats. I'm not looking at my bad. Yeah, I'm looking at season stats. That checks out. So Calcaterra had
2 catches on 2 targets,
had 3 for 38 yards still. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like you got Britton Covey had 6 catches for 23 yards, which is less than 4 yards a catch. Like I kind of, it's a nice little gimmicky play. I think Covey. I've always been curious what he can offer as a receiver. Just like maybe being this like little scrappy, quick guy who can just get in space and maybe make something happen. I mean, he's shown that he's a decent kick returner. I don't know. Like Johnny Wilson's huge, but it doesn't seem like this guy can do anything other than maybe just be an extra blocker. So, we're not going to have AJ Brown for a couple weeks. We need some creativity here. Like Devontae looked great, 7 catches on 10 targets for 76 yards and a touchdown. Rock solid. Like he's your wide receiver 1. He made some great plays. So yeah, man, I don't know. I just,
I'm looking at the 2022-23 fantasy draft board. LOL. Thanks, Bryce. For anyone that doesn't know the story, I was in an in-person draft, and I had the Fantasy Pros app, and I didn't realize until like the fourth round that it was last year. So I'm like, why are all these rookies going and all these people at the top of their game and they weren't? It's like, oh, Keenan Allen, this guy's young. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so there's a joke there. All right, let's get into some of the ups. Listen, the first up is a fairly obvious one. The season's not over. The Cowboys just got absolutely smoked. The Niners got embarrassed. New York and Commanders are an absolute dumpster fire. Here's a fun stat for you. The New York Giants become the first team to lose to a team that just kicked field goals despite scoring 3 touchdowns. That is an actual stat. And the New York Giants, despite scoring 3 touchdowns, lost to a team that just kicked nothing but field goals.
That is wild.
That is an absolutely wild stat. And then the way, if you actually look at the standings right now, New Orleans, Minnesota, Seattle, Washington, it is week 2. It is a small sample size. We lost by a fingertip ball here. Now, there are bigger concerns on the story that I'm telling myself. The story I'm telling myself is, are we last year's team? And is this just carrying through? We put all of our energy into week 1, got as many points as we possibly could, and we are just last year's team. I look at the New Orleans game, and I look at the Tampa Bay game. I'm not feeling too great about it. Or is it the team is settling? A.J. Brown was out. We got Jahan Dotson that's trying to get acclimated with the offense. We need a little bit more discipline on the defensive side. They caught us slipping for a game, but we have all the right pieces. And talent-wise on paper, we are one of the best teams. So the reason I read those standings to you is that I do think we are better in the long term than a very short, hot team in the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings led by Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks and certainly the Washington Commanders. I do think we'll be fine in the long term. We have very high expectations this year. When we look at the top teams in the NFC, we are still one of them. We still have a very real chance to go very deep into the playoffs, and I think we just need to stop with the doom and gloom. Although I understand the doom and gloom, we have realistically high expectations. It's primetime Kirk Cousins, but the up is the season's not over. We're fine.
Yeah, I think the last time we were started the season 1-1, we went to the Super, or I think that was the year that we won the Super Bowl. Whenever we start off just winning games, things don't end well. So I guess this is the right time to just get it out of our systems. I don't know. Bryce's in the NFL suck. Yeah, Bryce Young, man. I had a huge debate with my friends earlier today. Like, he might be the worst of all time, like probably worse than Zach Wilson. I feel kind of bad for Bryce Young. Like, I feel like he just has no opportunity for success in Carolina. Like, that might be the worst franchise in the NFL. But anyway, enough of that, Bryce. We have Bryce problems of our own. I'm just like Nolan Smith, 1 tackle, Jalen Carter, 1 tackle. Jordan Davis, 2 tackles. I'm actually shocked that he got 2 tackles.
I think he had a deflection too in the first quarter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he did. Good call. N'Kobe Dean, 7 tackles. Zach Bond, 9 tackles. Gardner Johnson with 6 tackles, surprisingly. Milton Williams had the only sack. I think Milton Williams actually has shown you something. He's like been on the team a lot longer than like he's always here. He's just always here, and I feel like the guy can play. So I don't know. I'm sure he'll get more playing time. What am I giving you? When we're going into some ups, is that what we're trying to do here? I'm going to give you an up. Up yours. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts is just what he showed us in the run game. I think that was very encouraging. Last year was rough. He definitely looked held back. I don't think he still doesn't look as explosive as we did see him at one point. Not as fast, like maybe like turning the corner, but there were a couple draw plays that, just really, really nice runs up the middle. He had 13 carries for 85 yards. So that's back-to-back weeks that he's had 13 carries, keeps the defense honest. He had the touchdown on the year from Darmary. So yeah, man, Jalen, he looked good, and I mean, even passing the ball, dude, he was 23 of 30. Like, that's efficient. 23 of 30 for 183. Other than the really bad interception at the end, like he definitely has to stop with the hero ball. That seems to be his biggest downfall so far this year, is just trying to make a big throw when he doesn't need to. But I don't know. We talked about this last week. It's still the first month of the year. It's basically preseason, and I hope that just means like now's the time to just do all the dumb crap, and we'll move on.
Yeah. Just also want to call out that the person commenting that the Falcons whooped that ass is the person that wore an Eagles jersey to the game too, and remained quiet. But and he totally deserved it. I will admit, Fran was a very, very, very good sport across the whole thing. Absolutely elite crap talker, but he held his own, and he didn't make it too miserable, and we had an awesome night. So shout out to Fran. We had a good Monday night there.
What jersey did he wear?
He wore a Cunningham jersey that was definitely from like some sort of Chinese plug. Definitely not the right color, but yeah,
Eagles was spelled like however that girl spelled it.
LMAO. Love you, Fran. Love you, Fran.
EALSGEL Eagles, whatever.
No. But no, and like here's the thing. That's actually my second up to is Jalen's running ability. It definitely looked a little bit more like his 22, 23 self. Fighting for yards in some of the big moments where, I can recall a few times during the Packers game and a few times on this where he's carrying defenders and he's getting the extra 5 yards. And listen, he can bench or squat. Was it 500 pounds? Is that always the joke? The only thing that is interesting this year, though, it really does look like
it's real.
Yeah, but the only thing that's really interesting is the tush push does not seem so effective this year. And the thing that sucks is we've gone away from the tush push, and our identity and our new trick play is now the ineligible man downfield. And that is an awful swap. Those are 1 or 2 yards I don't want to swap out for. That is like an awful thing to now be known for. I think we did okay with the tush push, but it just doesn't seem so effective. Do you see it that way, or maybe not?
I mean, the first week I would agree with that, but I feel like we were like 3 for 3. One of them was the touchdown, I'm pretty sure. So it did seem like it looked a lot easier for them this past week, and it's kind of cool. Jason Kelsey was in the booth while they were doing a couple tush pushes, and he kind of reiterated, he's like, that is one play that he does not miss. But he had some nice things to say about Cam Jurgens, so it was cool listening to him.
Cool. We're 27 minutes in before we move on to the Saints game. Is there anything else we want to talk about, or do you want to turn the chapter and forget about it?
I mean, I'm supposed to have one more up. I don't really.
My bad, dude.
No, I don't.
It was
I
hard.
have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, I think I'm just going to give Quinyon Mitchell some props because I'm really excited to see how he just continues to grow, and he looks ready.
Has Cooper DeJohn taken the field yet? Have we not seen him in any snaps yet?
I didn't think so.
I haven't seen him in any stats. It is really difficult when you're at a game to like get the same analysis that they give you on the TV. Like it honestly makes you a little bit more appreciative of how hard an announcer's job actually is. Like I couldn't even hear who was getting all the ineligible man downfields because like the mics weren't quite loud enough. So
I know Lane Johnson was one of them. I think Cam Jurgens got called for one.
Just talk about how the Falcons are the better team. And then, Jimmy, when is it time to start Drake May? We're not talking about Drake May on this podcast. I know exactly who this is. Go away, Kyle. All right. All right, moving on. Give it to me, Andrew. What do you think? What do you think are the keys to victory? Hit us with the score prediction.
For this upcoming week?
Yeah.
Oh, already? Wow. Oh, man.
Well, break it down and we can talk about it.
Break it down.
It is tough to administer the live chat and all of this and then have this and be on top of it. So
seriously, it's like stimulation overload right now. There's just messages firing in from random fans. Kirk, yep. Yeah, he flopped it all over us. So yeah, let's move on from Kirk Cousins, which how did we lose, Alex? God, it just hits me out of nowhere. Like, yeah. What just happened? Anyway, all right. So the Eagles are going to be going. We're going to be playing our first real, quote unquote, away game of the year. Going to New Orleans, which I got to be honest, Alex, not one of my favorite places as an Eagles fan. I don't think I have any good memories of the Eagles going to play in New Orleans. Was it the something Dome? What's I almost said Georgia Dome, but that's not right.
Superdome.
The Superdome. The Superdome. Yeah. Just a lot of memories of,
Super Bowl is going to be held there this year. Maybe it's a good omen.
Ooh, I hope you're right.
Not the first time we haven't won a game in a stadium and then went and played again and won the Super Bowl in it.
Minnesota.
And our long lineage of Eagles Super Bowl victories.
Yeah, seriously. So with that being said, not only are we going to a place that we have not had a lot of success with, but apparently the New Orleans Saints are the best offense that has ever existed. Apparently Derek Carr is the new Peyton Manning. Apparently this team will never score less than 40 points. They have 91 points through their first 2 games of the year, which is, I think, 4th most of all time through two games. Week 1, they played the Panthers, which, as I said before, probably the worst franchise in the NFL, but who saw that coming against Dallas at Dallas? It was beautiful to watch and shocking as heck. So the Eagles right now are a 2.5-point underdog, which if we play the game that you like to play, Alex, which is where the home team is supposed to get a 3-point advantage, well, then technically at a neutral site, this would make the Eagles a half-point favorite. So what does that say? You have the Eagles coming off of a really crappy loss. You have the Saints, who look like they can't be stopped, and it could be argued that maybe the Eagles are actually a favorite. The over-under for this game is 49.5, so we're expecting points. And Alex, for the love of God, for the love of all things holy, can the Eagles score any points in the first quarter, please? Can we just score points in the first quarter, maybe? Maybe just not wait until, I don't know, halfway, close to halftime to start doing something. So what are my thoughts? I think that the Saints are definitely playing at an unsustainable pace. I think that the Eagles are... I hope that this loss really gives, changes their attitude and they're just not going to take any crap. I don't freaking know. That's what I hope. But I don't expect the Saints to continue to sustain the level of success they've had. But I don't think I don't think our defense is good. So I don't really know where we're supposed to do well here. Hopefully we just score more points than them and Derek Carr turns the ball over, because I think our only chance of winning is winning the turnover battle. So we need Jalen Hurts to not turn the ball over. We need to feed Saquon. We need to get Dallas Goedert involved. On the Saints' offense, they have Alvin Kamara, who has found the fountain of youth. He looks awesome. They have Chris Olave, who is a very good young receiver. They have Rashid Shaheed, who is absolutely crushing it right now. So with that being said, I'm going to pick the Eagles to win. I think that both of these teams should be 2-1 after this week. So 49.5. All right, going Eagles. Come on, Eagles got to score some points, man. Eagles, are we getting 30? Yeah. I'm going 31-24 Eagles.
Yeah, so I don't know if I think I have a little bit more of a bleak outlook. I mean, it's really bizarre to see that there's only one team in the NFC South that's below 500, which is the Carolina Panthers. Last year, the entire division, if I'm not mistaken, or at one point in time, through week 7 or 8, was all below 500. I do agree with your assessment that the New Orleans Saints are playing at an unsustainable level. Just no team just remains that hot constantly in the NFL. But I do think, and actually I think Fran, who just put it into the chat, we don't have A.J. Brown again. And I worry that they're just going to sell out on the run and these little tiny screen passes. It's crazy to think that there's already going to be a game in a few days, right? I think we were a little bit spoiled. We had a Friday, and then we had the whole weekend, and then we had another Monday game. There was so much time in between. And we're coming back really quick. And I don't think Jahan is going to be humming again in our offense. I don't know why Dallas Goedert was getting less targets and Greg Calcaterra to come out. Is it going to be another Britton Covey game? This almost reminds me of those years when Carson Wentz was throwing to Greg Ward, and who's the guy that they kept re-signing, the freaking old dude? They kept bringing him back, Jordan Matthews.
Yeah, who now plays tight end for the Carolina Panthers.
I think he got cut, but that's the it's kind of it reminds me of, and we're sitting here thinking that we have so much depth and we have all of these players. And it's when A.J. Brown is gone, the offense just looks really different. So I don't see it that way, Drew.
So you're worried about the offense?
I'm worried about the offense. Dude, I don't think the Atlanta defense, maybe some people in their secondary, but I don't think they're anything elite. I don't think it was anything great. And then you look at how Alvin Kamara is doing and how our rush defense is doing. You see Derek Carr is throwing balls. And here is a concern that I have too, is we've been praising and so excited for this Kellen Moore offense. Why have we always hated Kellen Moore? Not because he was just coach of the Cowboys, because Dak Prescott was constantly throwing these deep balls on us and these really deep curl routes and these comeback routes and everything. Why are we still doing these bubble screens? Why are we doing these short things? I think Jalen did have a few plays where he stood in the pocket that was crumbling and looked like a statue, and that was fine, and I can see development, and I think that he's playing okay football, but he's not doing what Dak was doing with the same, less offensive weapons than we had. So I really don't see it, Drew. I really do not see it. So I am predicting an Eagles loss in this. Probably one of the very few times, because we haven't lost that many times since we've done this podcast. But I'm going to say that the Eagles are going to lose. If I had to put a number on it, I think the Saints are going to have a high-scoring game. They're going to be running all over us. Derek Carr is going to go deep. I'm going to say the Saints score 31 and the Eagles score 22.
22.
31-22 Saints. Healthy win by the Saints.
I mean, I definitely agree with you that this has the makings of Kamara running all over us after seeing Bijan just like it looks so easy. It looks so easy for Bijan to just find space to run. And
how many yards did he have on average? Do we know?
Yes, we do.
And anyone still watching, feel free to comment with your score predictions as well. Fran says Saints 35, Eagles 17.
Woof.
Yeah, he's a hater though, so he's trolling.
Bijan had 14 for 97 with a long he averaged 6.9, almost 7 yards a carry.
That's
he
unreal,
probably
dude.
would have
freaking unreal.
Yeah, it's great. He probably would have gotten more carries if they weren't playing from behind at the end of the game.
And Algier carried for 5.9 yards.
Yeah, that's the thing. They took Bijan out, and it's just like it wasn't any relief. Like Algier was just doing the same thing.
AJ commented Eagles 28, Saints 24 off a defensive stop close to the game. AJ, I see Kirk Cousins chopping us up down the field in a minute. I don't feel confident about the defensive stop. If the defensive stop comes when we're down, then it has to be on passing, and our rush offense looks bad. Get off the stream, AJ. No, I'm just kidding.
You said our rush offense looks bad?
Our pass rush. Oh,
yeah,
that's what I meant.
Yeah, I don't think I agree. Like, the only thing that I recall you saying that I don't know if I agree with is that you said that the Saints are going to sell out for the run, and I still don't think that the Eagles are a team that you can do that
pass.
Against.
They were taunting Jalen to throw the ball. They were putting everyone in the box, selling out for the run so Jalen would throw because they know he's not going to throw. They did it all game. He was
23 of 30. I know a lot of them were screen passes, but 23 of 30 is still like he's not throwing the ball. You know what I mean? Like
23 of 30, but 183 yards. That's a gunslinging arm. What is 183 divided by 23? 183 divided by 23. So that's probably there. Oh yeah, the 7.9 per pass attempt isn't too bad, but I don't know, man.
Well, it'd be like 6 yards per pass attempt because that would be 180 divided by 30 would be 6.
Attempts. Got it.
So, yeah. But no, you're not wrong. I think this is going to be a week where these new coordinators that we have, it's time for them to prove themselves. Like you're coming off of a loss where the city is pretty riled up. I think with the Eagles, they tend to be at their best when they're counted out, and so I think that they do have that going for them a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a really hard one to gauge, man. It's really hard because I don't know what the Saints are, and we're still learning what the Eagles are. It sucks, man. I really thought the defense was going to be better than last year, and like the secondary does look improved, but the fact that we can't get any pressure on Kirk Cousins, like I can understand, week 1 Jordan Love has a little bit of mobility, slippery field, whatever. But like not being able to get after Kirk Cousins is really that's scary. That scares me a lot.
But as a typical Eagles fan, what could happen, Drew? We go in there, we set the tone again, we knock out the team. I don't know if it's a stat, but I'm pretty sure the Saints have the most amount of points in the NFL this year. I can't think of another team that's doing what they're doing.
They have the 4th most through 2 games of all time, so they definitely have the most this year.
Wow,
yeah, they have 91 points.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's only been 2 games.
Yeah, that's incredible. So listen, and it could just be a blip on the radar. And you know what? Our week 3 attitude week 4 attitude could change dramatically with a convincing win here. We shut up everybody, and this is a blip on the radar. And you know what we will be? Wishfully optimistic. but I'm just not expecting it to happen that way. I hope I'm wrong. It will definitely be a Jalen statement game and something that we'll remember for a while. If he does pull this out, so I'm excited for it. I hope that we're wrong. This could be the legacy game. This could be the Jalen game that we remember early in the season to set the tone, and then that's when the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles became a great football team.
We need Ali to become a believer again, because I never thought I'd see the day where he's just out on Jalen Hurts. Ali, from what we understand, is just out.
Well, he flew all the way to California to get as far from him as possible. So that's actually why he's out there today. He just said, I don't even want to be. I want to be as far on the same continent as I can. So that's why he's out there right now.
He's trying to find a cruise to Alaska as we speak.
Yeah, he's out. Yeah.
Well, sure. I wanted, I was considering the Eagles as a swinging it pick. You clearly don't agree, so why don't we hit the people with a swinging it pick for week 3?
Yeah, so this year's swinging it format's going to be a little bit different. We're going to try to give you one unanimous thing that we all picked. I think there were 3 picks that we liked. We did like the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. Patriots showing a little bit of pop this year. Andrew, the other one we had 3 that we
Might have been the Vikings at home again.
Yep, Vikings. I will say
home against the Texans.
CJ Stroud looked okay, looked human.
Yeah, but who did they just play? The Chicago Bears, and they barely beat them?
That's what I mean. CJ Stroud looks like an average pedestrian. And I think you were one of the people that predicted a sophomore slump. It was either you or Brian Fye. I forget.
Oh, it was me. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I was down on CJ Stroud this year, but that's still a good team, and I feel like it's so hard to judge off of this time period. It's just so hard to judge by the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah. So this week's swinging a pick is
the Arizona Cardinals at home against the Detroit Lions. Currently a 3-point underdog. Detroit lost it was a surprising loss to the Bucs, I'll say. The Bucs are definitely one of the big surprises of the NFL season.
Good thing we don't play them soon.
Another team that when I think about, I don't have any good memories with the Bucs either. That's just a team that perpetually ruins our life. We're going to go with the Cardinals, man. Kyler, you got Marvin Harrison coming off of his breakout. It was just a quarter. It was the first quarter. He had 4 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns and didn't do anything the rest of the game. But then again, they had a pretty giant lead early in the game. So, yeah, Cardinals at home, man. Let's see. I mean, it would be real surprising to get the line or to see the Lions start 1-2. Make me feel a little bit better about the state of the Eagles.
So AJ just said, didn't Jalen get his first W in NOLA? I thought it was a home game.
But it was against the Saints.
And Taysom Hill was the quarterback that game because somebody was hurt. I think it was in Philadelphia, though, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong on that, though. That is an awesome flashback, AJ. And I don't think your question was home or away. So it is
Jalen Hurts, let's see.
I know he came in at the end of the Packers game, and that's when he benched Wentz.
Yeah, it was week 14 of the 2020 season. He threw for 167 yards and a touchdown. The only thing I'm not able to see if it was in Philly, but if I let this advertisement play through, I'll eventually see a highlight and then I can tell you. But so that's promising. I guess Jalen's got a good history against the Saints. We got that going for us.
We'll see. Yeah, some heart-wrenching moments. I still remember that drop ball from Alshon.
Yeah,
and
home game.
Yeah, just some heart-wrenching moments. Cool, man. Well, listen.
We did win last week, though. Our swinging a pick did win last week. We don't want to leave without giving ourselves a little bit of credit.
We did, and I love seeing the 49ers lose. I was with a 49ers fan, well, actually a 49ers family, watching football all day with them, and they were not too happy to see Sam Darnold. But I don't know what's worse. Losing to Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins in a primetime game when he doesn't play for anybody else but the Falcons now.
What about the Ravens losing to Gardner Minshew at home? It was just a stupid week. I think it's just a week that everyone just needs to forget about, like it never happened.
Well, I think that's what we're going to be doing. Thank you all for tuning in for episode 86. Hopefully
Zekerts.
we're going to be coming back with some really good news. And thanks for tuning into our live stream. Thanks for all the engagement. Let us know what we can do to make this viewing experience more favorable to you. And with that, go Birds.
Go Birds.